All right, you're recording.
All right, guys, what's up? Today I'm going to show you how to restore this headlight. Right now it's looking a little fuzzy, but once we get through with it, it's gonna look like a brand new headlight all over again. First step you want to do is tape off all the surrounding areas. Make sure you don't get any of the paint while you're sanding down this lens of the headlight. So let's go ahead and do that and get her taped up. Before I go ahead and do that, I want to show you guys the tools that I will be using. I got a 500 grit sandpaper that we will be using to remove the first layer that has all these contaminants, all these little rock chips that have built up throughout the years. That's going to remove that first layer of film that comes from the factory. Once we go over that with the 500 grit sandpaper, we're going to go over it gently with an 800 grit sandpaper. That's going to allow us to remove any scratches and fine marks that were created by the 500 grit sandpaper. Once we are done with the dry sanding part, we will proceed to a wet sanding, which includes a 1000 grit. That's going to allow us to refine our 800 grit sand marking scratches. To finish it off, we will be using a 3000 grit sandpaper. That should smooth out, remove any curlicues, which we like to call them here. Those are the little squirrelies that build up like that. 3000 sandpaper should be able to remove all of those, if not most of them. Once we get through that, we'll be buffing it with a compound buffing pad. That's going to allow us to buff out any swirls, even though you can't see these because it is a clear film. Remove all the swirls, scratches that were created from the sandpaper and such. Finish it off with a polishing pad. This is a waffle pad. This is my favorite type of polishing pad. I felt most comfortable using this one in general. The flat one is great, but this one I feel like it gives this airflow, polish a little bit more deeper. That should give us the final result of a nice clean headlight. Let's go ahead and begin taking the outer edges and get it going. I personally like to use gloves. You don't have to. But it's definitely something that is recommended, so you don't get your fingernails dirty. If some of you guys got clean fingernails, and you can tape it off anywhere you want. What you want to do is make sure that you tape off all the edges, because those are the ones that are a little bit more vulnerable to being scratched up or being scratched up. Generally, one layer of tape will do the job. I'm going to go ahead and add 2 layers, and that's because I want to be extra cautious to make sure I don't burn anything that is exposed to the sanding disc. So let's go ahead and give it another wrap up just because. All right, you guys, now that we have our headlight taped up, let's go ahead and begin sanding with our 500 grit sandpaper and start removing these little defects that it has built up throughout the years, little scuff marks, scratches, anything that's been sitting on that headlight. And this is what a 500 grit sandpaper looks like. Got that right there. Let's go ahead and pop it in our 3M headlight tool. Headlight gun, sanding gun, whatever you want to call it, it's going to do the job. You don't have to necessarily use one of these, but anything that spins and that has a little bearing in there, it's going to allow you to put pressure on it while it's spinning and without damaging it. So let's go ahead and start sanding this. I'm going to begin my way up and down and work my way around it. Give it about 2 to good 3 passes. It does not matter where you start, as long as you start. And this is why you want to put tape. I've sanded down here, but you can see I've gone over a little bit of the tape. 2 layers, maybe 3, depending on how you feel. It's fine. You guys are wondering how fast I'm going, I got it set to the minimum. I usually like to push it all the way to the end and then just crack it a little bit. Like that, like tiny bit. That's gonna pick up the speed. You don't want it too fast, but at the same time, you don't want it too slow either. Sometimes one disc will do it. When that happens, it's an indication that the headlight is really beat up. In this case, I don't see any yellow markings, which is what builds up on the headlight. So with that being said, I'm gonna give it another pass with a brand new disc, just so I can be sure that I remove that existing film that sits on the headlight itself. So let's go ahead, remove the disc. You see all that stuff that builds up. Set it down for right now. Pop another one. Okay, now I feel comfortable enough to proceed with the next step, which is the 800 grit sandpaper. That's going to allow us to refine the scratches that were created from the 500 grit sand, and let's begin the process. Now typically this one you only have to do it once because you are just refining the scratches from the 500 grit sandpaper, but just make sure that you go from side to side, up and down, left to right, so you can cover the whole area. Because you are just refining scratches from the 500 grit sandpaper, that does allow you to give it an extra pass with the 800 compared to the 500. You're just knocking down stuff, but this you're basically just refining it as you go. So go ahead and give it another. All right, we're done with our 800 grit sandpaper. Let's set this one down. Apply our 1000 grit sandpaper. The difference with this one is we are going to be applying it with water, wet sanding for some of you detail geeks out there. But we're gonna do the same process, go over it from side to side, up and down, just to ensure we covered the whole headlight. With this wet sanding process, you are going to start seeing the clarity of the lens come to life, which is definitely a good feeling in most cases. Now that we've applied our sanding disc, we are gonna use water in this case. So go ahead and splash water covering the headlight. And begin sanding away, same process, you know the deal. Do it. Done with our 1000 sandpaper. The good thing about these is that these are not for a one-time use. You can't use these repeatedly as long as you take care of them. If they start getting little holes in it, then just toss it out and grab a new one. So I am going to go put this one behind it and we use it late on a different time. Now that we have our 3000 grit sandpaper, let's go ahead and apply that to our gun and begin sanding away. Same process, you want to make sure that you have water on this headlight. Go ahead and spray. And begin sanding again. And this is why I mean you should apply 2 to 3 layers of tape. You can see that it's peeling away, and that's mostly because of the water. The sanding disc just hitting it repeatedly. Up here it's a different story because you do have a bigger gap, but right here where it is a little bit tighter, you can expect to peel some paint, sand some paint if you're not careful and you don't apply anything. sanded down all the existing grime and road tar, anything that's possibly just sitting on this headlight. Let's go ahead and dry it out and start buffing it out. Look at that. It's looking a little bit hazy, but as soon as I start hitting it with the buffing machine, you're gonna see it completely change before your eyes. Okay. Now, in order for us to remove these scratches right here, we're gonna go ahead and use our DeWalt buffer. We're gonna buff this at 1400 RPM with our compound pad. This is a medium cut compound pad. The reason I'm using for this is this has already been refined and sanded down to a 3000 grit sand mark, which should be fairly easy to buff out. If it were deeper, I'd go with a heavier compound, but that's not gonna be necessary in this case. Excuse me. Regular compound will do just fine. The tempo with the compound, you can kick it and go everywhere. You gotta really know how to work it. You're not too sure, start off really slow, work your way up to 1400. That looks brand new. Wait till you see when we hit the polish. That polish is gonna bring out that clarity very well. This step, we're gonna go ahead and apply it with our waffle pad, our waffle foam polishing pad, and that's gonna bring out that gloss nice and smooth. Go ahead and apply it. Go ahead and add our auto solution polish. And let's work the magic. For this one, we're gonna start off at 1200 RPM. I like to start at 1000 and work my way up. Now we are almost done. We just need one more step, and that's to apply our sealant to the headlight. That way it's protected from any UV rays and any other contaminants that might affect the brightness of the headlight. Now what I have here is some Now go ahead with a clean microfiber towel, wipe off any residue that you're gonna have, and let's see what this looks like. Look at that. Start taking off the tape. Amazing. You can see through the headlight. It's very similar to a brand new headlight. Definitely saves you the extra expense compared to buying a new one. This is definitely going to last you about 2 to 3 years, depending how they are treated, what environments they are used. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. Leave your question down below. Give us a like if you like the video. If you don't like the video, that's okay. Give us a like. Most likely, you don't have nothing going on right now. Sitting at home doing quarantine time. Stay healthy, my friends.